All right, good evening, everyone. This is the August monthly Alcohol, Beverage, and Cannabis Regulations Committee meeting. The date is August 20th. The time is 7:04 p.m. I feel like it's actually been a while since we last met, which is good. Means I've been traveling a lot and enjoying my summer. So I'm happy to report that. I hope everyone else is too and staying safe despite everything that's going on, which is a lot. So thank you for making the time to meet now, because there is a lot of them. Let me bring
Steven,
up.
don't you want to add that every other commission's off this month except for us?
Yeah, that's another thing that's pretty annoying, honestly. Yeah, we should get. Yeah, this is like a bonus meeting, basically. Yeah, every other commission is off except for 1B. 1B for business, because we always have business to do and talk about. Uh, yeah, no, thank you for bringing that up. Okay. All right, we have the agenda here. All right, I'm going to start with the roll call. Never know to count myself, but I will. Commissioner Stephen Hanrahan, it's me, present. Frank Chauvin.
Present.
Change Ashley Fields is no longer with us. Miss Karen Gall.
Present.
Eileen Johnson. Smith.
Present.
Stephen Ruckers.
Present.
Rachel Scheckman.
Present.
And then Carl Beauregard. Not here. Okay, let's see if Carl is in the audience. Do not see Carl. See for William Lewis. Hi, William. We'll get to you soon. Thank you for joining. Okay. Well, for folks that are here, thank you for joining. Updates just sent on email. We Ashley Fields notified me that she's moved out of the neighborhood, so she's no longer on the committee. She stepped down due to her location move. We thank her for her service and former ANC capacity as well. We have a potential new committee member. They haven't showed up today. I might call them again. It was Carl Beauregard. They've expressed an interest in ABCR. They kind of represent S&D 1B06, so it's a different representation. I'm going to follow up with them as well to see if they were able to join. Yeah, that's on that front. For that. And everyone has the agenda. I sent it over. We also last minute new item renewal came in today for Pure Nightclub. I'm actually going to flip things around. I'm going to do the administrative side first. And you know what? Let me actually share screen. That might be easier for people. I'm going to share. I'll share mine. So here. 1 second. So wait. Minutes. Okay, save. Okay, so let me share screen. Whoa. Okay, so this is now the minutes. Started. I'm actually going to switch to administrative first. Okay, I'm going to switch to administrative first. Yeah, so at the last meeting, we passed the motion that then was, we recommended a motion to kind of prep us for like this tavern renewal season that's coming this fall. We're expecting potentially every tavern license to be renewed. There's estimated counts of 78 taverns in ANC 1B. So kind of in prep for this, we kind of discussed an idea to kind of divide up some of the work, or kind of have some of the committee members do some of the kind of review the settlement agreements, review the investigative history, kind of with the for the tavern list, to kind of prep themselves, and then also prep the committee as a whole for this endeavor. Let me bring up this again, and I share this link. Will it load? No, it's there. Okay.
Hey, Stephen, quick question. Was everybody able to get into the back end hard drive cloud service? Because
Yeah.
I wasn't. I know there was a correction sent out,
Okay.
but I noted this over these several years, and most of the time I hadn't raised it. But was everybody here able to get in? Because I don't think I was able to, even with the correction.
No,
I
Frank,
haven't
because
tried
I
yet.
sent them.
Sorry, go
Oh.
ahead, Ms. Cole.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was answering because I sent the first flag to Stephen about it, and it still
Yeah.
wasn't corrected, and so
Okay.
I was waiting for that to take place, Frank. So you're on the same page that
Yep,
I know
yep.
I'm on.
All right, thank you, Karen. Yep.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of some technical difficulties there. But I think we were able to send it to, was anyone able to get on?
Yes, I've been able to get on.
Steven, you have. Okay, that's
I'll
great. That's
try
great.
again. Karen, if you have another link, can you send it again? Maybe I need to retry it again. I apologize that I
Yeah.
wasn't able to get on. I don't mind retrying.
Okay. And Karen Lee, let's meet. Let me call you after this, or find some time this week, check in with you on best way to send this over to the folks for that. So they have it. Seeing some stuff in the chat. Okay. Okay, great. Alex and Stephen want to get on. Great. And then, yeah, I swear I made another column here, or had a column, that basically was like, I forget what I did, but I swear I had some other columns here that were like, first of all, to back up. So I pulled the list. This is basically from FOIA, from ABCA. This is the list of all the taverns with active licenses in ANC 1B. So this is the list. It looks a little clunky, but it is what it is, organized alphabetically. And then from there, I also went around and tried to find the settlement agreements for the establishments. So some of them, the ABCA records website, you can only search last 10 years or 5 years. I'm not sure. But we had to kind of FOIA for the rest of the settlement agreements, and then kind of just make sure they match the name, or kind of just do like a preliminary review of them and put them in folders. So I'm going to also work with Karen Lee after this to make sure you guys have access to the folders. But basically, this is just a spreadsheet, and there's just some columns here. So we have the restaurant, or their tavern's name, their address, their license number. This is a hyperlink, but it doesn't work. It's to like the ABCA site. That's how they sent it over. ANC, okay, B, the SMD that's in. And then I have this one. So settlement agreement. So this is just if we found we had one, which is in the settlement agreement folder. And then, yes, they have one. Or like Cheech Lounge, you know, actively protesting. We're actively protesting this license, hours of extension. Some of them were old license, right? So the settlement agreement is often tied to the address. So this has an address. This place has a settlement agreement in place for 1330 U Street Northwest. But yes, it's for an old name, District Pub, not Enigma. So, and then also the year of the settlement agreement. So then I went through and luckily, well, with Ashley and the committee, I think there's 77 licenses, and I include myself. So divide by 7, yeah, 7. So everyone, it was even split down the middle. Everyone had 11. Every committee member had 11 establishments in their name. And I'm also going to try to reach out to you guys just individually about this, just to make sure you're comfortable or have any questions, etc. But yeah, so, you know, I can see for mine here, you know, and just kind of, you know, do a general scan. And then I made 2 of the columns here. I don't know if I think, you know, sometimes spreadsheets gets passed in different hands and people, I don't know. I don't know where they went, but it was like kind of like, hey, you know, like, is the settlement agreement like just like your general comments on like the settlement agreement, like, you know, does it look good, like, you know, or is it old, or, you know, like, what are your comments about how it's meeting the needs of ANC 1B, the residents, communities, you know, balancing the businesses and everything. And then another column for something else too. I'll have to check my records. Maybe it's in another sheet or something like that. Sometimes with like copies of sheets, who knows? Anyway, but the ask is to then just write like notes in this other column, and you know, try to make one now. You see, like, you know, column, like comments here. You know, I haven't checked this place out 801. You know, a little bit there, you know, okay, you know, you know, they have a settlement agreement. There's no, you know, violations or, you know, something like that. Basically that. And the other thing is to also use the ABCO website, which hopefully we're all familiar with the ABCO website, but search their records for just the name of the establishment or the address to see if there's any recent board orders or anything like that. That could be impactful as well. And then also just your own like personal know all or information you know about a place, like you know, like 801, yeah, they're like a loud busy bar. I want to make sure they have a settlement agreement, but in general they generally abide by things. Or All Souls is kind of a quiet cocktail bar, so you know, yeah, their settlement agreement is from 2015, but you know, I don't know if we need to renew the settlement agreement. Maybe we do, maybe we don't, but it's just, you know, things to think about. And yeah, I think another thing is like looking at the date of the settlement agreement, right? So if we just had one from we had one from 2023, right? It's pretty updated. I mean, it's general standard template. I mean, there might not be that much that we could change or want to change, but if we have one from 2016, you know, that maybe that is one we want to change, or some of them are like, yeah, 2016 or 2013. There's a lot of newer ones because there's so many new bars and just places constantly opening up that the surprisingly great amount of them are from the last 5 years. But the ones that aren't, I think we want to kind of make a flag for that. And then the ones that there aren't any, I think we also want to kind of note. And some of them, it's like, we know, like the saloon, okay, they've been there from like the 70s. So, you know, they're establishment, but like, you know, some of them, this one, right, I don't know, we might want to have one from our YOLO, something like that. Hand up, Stephen, Mr. Ruckers.
Yep, just a quick question. Like, I know I searched for Dakota and St. James on the APCS website. These payer settlement agreements aren't listed. Nothing came up. So what is the process for, I guess, if we don't have a record of them having one? Us, I guess, either trying to find that, or who do we ask?
Are you asking, So part of this project is to try and like show that. So basically, if they, I'm 98% sure, like with this settlement agreement, like if there isn't one here, if I don't say there is one, then they don't have one. So yeah, it's actually like no. It's like no, they don't have one. I left it blank, but yeah, it is like no, because we FOIA'd ABCA. I like double FOIA'd them. I was like, can you please check to make sure that these places don't have any settlement agreements? And then they responded back to also they're like, these places don't have settlement agreements. So yeah, so you will not find, for ones that are listed blank, it basically means no. So then they do not have settlement agreements. And that's, that's like, I'm thinking of it as kind of like just like general groups, like settlement agreement post 2020, maybe green. Settlement agreement between like later than 2020, yellow, orange, like no settlement agreement, orange, red, maybe. And then there's also just a couple of places we've highlighted here that other people have specifically raised concerns about. Other community members or residents we've received emails about, that we really want to do like a deep dive with them. Even if they have a settlement agreement, we want to make sure it really meets the needs, or is up to date. Yes, great question though.
Hey, Steven, can you hear me?
Yes, again.
I can't raise my hand because I'm on my app and I walk, or my phone app. So apologize. I can't find it tonight for some reason. Two things. One, just as a search function in the ABCA site, two thoughts for folks for utility's sake and for finding with ease, because nothing's that easy on that site. It's not very user friendly. There's a checklist of like 20 different documents. Never choose any of them. Okay. Just do a general search, right? So don't ever think you know which document it might be. Don't pick any of them. Just look for the name. And a one-word name is better than a two-word name, because they might not go by the saloon, right? They might just go by saloon. So use the simplistic search as possible in word choice of the name, and you're more likely to get everything you need. That's my first comment. Second comment, I am wondering, you're looking at age of agreements, but I'm wondering if we might chat now or later about 5 of the concepts that we want, 5 provisions we understand to be the utmost importance in working within this neighborhood so we have good neighbors, right? Karen's brought up, we've all discussed a million times, power washing, because nobody steps up to the table, and U Street's disgusting. Okay. 1900 block of Mill Street is disgusting, and it needs to be power washed. And for some reason, people don't take pride sometimes in their establishment's sidewalk, and they think it's other people's problems. Well, we've decided that's one important issue. That's not the only important issue. Some of the other stuff is expanded operating hours and things. And so I'm wondering if we might work between now and the next meeting to devise those 5 things, perhaps, that we're looking for. We can agree that these are important items during renewal season, instead of just date.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that's a great point. That's a great point. To your first question, which is actually very important, which is, I didn't want to clarify. I think I have that up right here. I think I shared screen. Yeah. So actually what Frank mentioned is actually great. So on the ABCA website here, when you go to the online search tool, which just somehow find here, somehow get to the Amherst tool. Yeah, the biggest thing is like when you go to the type, you just make sure you put down like any here. At least that's what I'm doing. I think that's what Frank is saying as well. And then when you type it in place, and then also sometimes try the address, or sometimes try the let's try saloon. Or which one do we have in for? Dakota.
Yeah. Hey, Stephen, I think it mostly never has address unless the name of the trademark or I'm sorry, the trade name or the corporate name
Okay.
are a name such as an LLC, at that address. I would say, postulate that there's never a time you're going to find one by their address. So I would prefer folks, or suggest that folks use name and simplistic name.
Okay, that's a good recommendation. And then, there's a lot of stuff here. Generally, like the board orders are things that you can decipher. Board order here for Howard Theater. Renew. Okay, so this is just renew. Consent. Okay, right. But then here's like a board order that this was like an amendment to their agreement that they should hire the Metropolitan Police Department reimbursable detail on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays for any event that ends at 10 p.m. So it doesn't always tell you where this stuff comes from or what prompts these board orders. I think we're going down a rabbit hole. We don't want to go down too far, but just a preliminary search about kind of that background information. And then also to Frank's second point about the what to search for. I mean, I think we've been around enough now to kind of get a sense of what we want. I think everyone does have a sense about that. We know the premises for ABCA protesting, peace, order, and quiet. So those are the main things: peace, order, and quiet. And as Sable Harris tells us, means peace is noise, order is garbage. No, quiet is noise, order is garbage, and peace is kind of crime. So any things that kind of contribute to that. And generally, my experience with reading settlement agreements, and you guys can see too, is they're typically well written out. So I think it's a matter of kind of reviewing them. Rachel, your hands up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily all that obvious because, like, something that we've talked about is, when you're looking at a settlement agreement, it'll say like all doors and windows in the establishment have to be closed. And that stipulation is in there for entertainment, to keep the entertainment contained within the building. But then we're also giving people entertainment hours in summer gardens that are not contained. And sometimes those hours extend till like 3 a.m, right? So then you're in a situation like we have been in where we're behind a bar that's going to 3 a.m. with heavy bass. And so like having some consistency on that is, I think, something that we need to be flagging. Like, oh, like this place has a summer garden, and they've got complaints against it, and also the summer garden is not contained. And I think I'm also bringing this up in keeping in mind that like ABCA is changing their regulations on like how they're going to like regulate in terms of having not having to go into people's houses to get someone for a noise violation, and like just making sure that those summer garden hours are in line with ABCA regulations on terms of noise out and hours and stuff like that is going to protect the businesses, not just the community members, but like everybody in the community, including those businesses.
Yeah, right. That's also a good point. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, right. There's like these fine details in there, and it also helps to know the establishment and know, things that they do. I know some of these are, we might not know them, we might know them. But sometimes it is trying to bring up an example of a settlement agreement right now. I think it's in my other email, which is my other window. Sorry.
Hey, Stephen, while you're looking for that, I'd like to touch on the noise issue. And, having been around the block a few times on the matter and trying to get it enforced, and dittoing Rachel's comments that there is some pending behind the scenes review of having to get inside a unit, a residential unit versus not. And we hopefully will move to regulations that don't require an inspector from ABCA to get inside of a residential unit, because if anybody knows, nobody likes to be barged in on at 11, 12, 1, 2, 3 in the morning, right? So that's sort of what we hear is coming in the background. However, I think at a minimum, we need to start seriously talking about not hearing noise outside the establishment. And that is the strictest provision that we could adopt. And guess what? You don't need rocket scientists, you don't need decibel readings, and it's pretty readily interpreted.
Right.
And so I'd like to see us start looking more seriously at an actionable and measurable such provision, right? Because Masali came in and spoke to the ANC a month and a half ago, and he said, remember, all your provisions need to be actionable and measurable to be enforceable.
Yeah.
And a lot of the provisions in all of these settlement agreements are not any of those, or only half of those. So as we review the important ones, especially this one, it should be measurable. And one of the most easy ones to be actionable is, in fact, not hearing it outside the establishment or exterior to the premises of the establishment.
And I think,
just for any folks that are having problems.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I think that line exactly is in the current settlement template that we've been using for a couple of ones that we've made this year. And that seems like that's there like recently in the ones of plus 2020. I'm bringing up one now. I don't know if you can see the screen. Can you guys see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, the settlement agreement. I wanted to share this one. This is actually Eileen. Actually, this is just an example of a settlement agreement. I can see Eileen Johnson, Group of 5, 2011. This is like history now. But this is just for one where they actually just applied to extend their hours until 6 a.m. But it does say in the settlement agreement, it's like applicant may extend its hours until 4 a.m. So it seems like that would be a violation. So this is something like to flag. Like, well, the settlement agreement says only go till 4. So like, can you really go till 6? I mean, it's just something like that. But then but this doesn't use that terminology of like excessive noise or hearing the noise from outside. I do think the new one does do that. Don't have that up right now. I see Francois's hand is up from the attendees. Hello, Commissioner.
Hello. Thanks for letting me make a quick comment. I was just going to say that I recently spoke with Alan Ebert, who is the director of the Ninth Street Association, which is a sort of loose or Frank, did you want to say something?
Oh, no. Sorry. My mic's on and I should be muted.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, I was just going to say he's the director of the Ninth Street Association, which is a loose organization of establishments on Ninth Street. He helps represent a lot of the bars and restaurants there. And one of the things he mentioned to me is that, that he and others have noticed that the use of promoters for the clubs can cause significant problems. Promoters, promote the club and different events happening at the club, but they pull from very different, audiences, I guess. I don't know a ton about it, but he was saying that, it seems like promoters can sometimes bring in the wrong type of crowd that can cause problems, that can get in fights and, cause public safety issues. And so, I do think it could be worth, just a new angle on these settlement agreements, and it's worth doing more research. But trying to limit or ban the use of promoters, if that is bringing people in who are causing problems. I think that's one thing for the committee to look at.
I don't like that termination. That term. We have to be very conscious of what type of terminology we use when we describe people. And that terminology has been used in a very terrible manner. So I think that when we talk about what we have to be specific when it comes to peace, order, and quiet as to what it entails, and be conscious of terminology that has historical issues. And so I think we need to be very cognizant of what type of language we use when we're describing any of the patrons in any of these businesses. If we have a peace, order, and quiet issue, we need to be clear that, as it was clear that the commissioner explained earlier about peace means noise and quiet, et cetera, et cetera. We don't want to use terminology that has been coined as something that has been very, very impactful and hurtful to our communities. Thank you.
Thank
So,
you.
Yeah, I
Ms. Gall.
just wanted to add to that too. That sounds like a First Amendment violation since we are a government organization and that's limiting their ability to communicate and like promote their business. I'm not a lawyer, but just putting that out there.
So
And
yeah, I
I'd
mean,
like to,
can
It's
I just
hurtful
respond?
language. It's very hurtful
I'm
language.
sorry.
let's
I
go
did
to
not
bed.
mean to hurt. I don't recall using the word terminate. I was speaking with Alan Ebert,
Come on,
who
come on.
represents many of these establishments. So, you know, I was speaking with someone who does represent these bars and clubs. I know and I think that his point was merely that this was a problem that they had identified that was contributing to some of the issues in the area.
Mhm.
And so, you know, this would be worth exploring further in terms of what is the potential for promoters to cause some of the issues that we've seen on the street. So, you know,
Yeah.
my intention, and I'm sorry if I offended, you know, and that's really not my intention, but it is to look at, you know, just this is something that I don't know as much about, that the committee has not talked about at all in any of its meetings. So I do think it would be
Mhm.
worth exploring, because this is something that someone who is, you know, actually defending the bars generally in these interactions, you know, and trying to help them
Let me be
overcome
clear. Let me
protests, you
be
know.
very clear what I'm
Yeah,
referring to.
yeah,
The
please.
wrong type of crowd that can cause problems, that can get into fights, you know, that cause public safety issues. That's the actual terminology that I'm
Hmm.
referring to. That clause right there is the problem that I'm referring to. I'm not saying about terminating or anything. That
Okay.
particular segment of language that was utilized is what I'm referring to.
Yeah, I'd like to add something here. I think that this is not a new item. It's been discussed for decades. And I think that if and when folks can convene, and I know there's several on the call here who are interested in ABCA code reform, that we register promoters so that a bad promoter is registered. And when a bad promoter acts in a fashion that is against the code and makes it difficult for us to have good neighbors, then they be excised, meaning kicked out and not allowed to be a promoter. So specifically, the word promoter is not new, and it should be looked into more. And often settlement agreements say that if a promoter is used, that they shall not have the distinct and thorough use of the establishment. The owner shall be there and be in
Yeah.
charge. That's sort of the offset to the allowance of allowing someone to go and promote a party that will then take place in one of these establishments. The owner's going to be there, and therefore the promoter can't do all he wants to do, and all he doesn't know that it's against the law or against the code, the alcohol code. So, I mean, that's a pretty simple, easy thing. But yes, this area is endemically in need of better understanding and better judgment in allowance of promotion and how to reduce the bad promoters.
Now, Frank,
Thank you, Frank.
my call out was not to the word promoter. Okay, so let's
I
make sure
understand
that
that,
we're
Karen.
very,
I
very
understand that.
clear.
Yes.
Okay, my
Yes.
Okay.
call out was to the
I heard
terminology
you. I
of
did hear
the
you.
Well,
language
Yes.
Mr.
that
Chairman,
was
let's
being
Ms. Gall
utilized.
speak. Here.
My call out was to the language that was being utilized, that has been a very disparaging language that has been utilized to coin certain people. And when you specifically say that term that was used, that I highlighted, and I was clear about it. It was not the word promoter, and I don't want it to be misconstrued that I was referring to promoter. I was talking about the inflammatory language that was used in
Mm,
regards to the wrong type of crowd. That
mhm.
has been a disparaging use of language that has been used to cause a serious amount of issues in this area and beyond. And I'm sure that it was very
Yeah.
clear, but if it wasn't crystal clear, I want to make sure it's crystal clear and on the record for this committee.
Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Gall. I think we do want to be very sensitive towards that. I don't think anyone was trying to offend or use that terminology or kind of, I know, but it's definitely important to be stay sensitive on that. I don't think we were trying to do that, talk about that. I do think to uh, Commissioner Barrio's point here, this is interesting for me. I think just learning about this, I know there's an example of a new parking lot bar on the corner of like 9th and T. And I think it's a similar situation where they technically don't have a liquor license, or they don't have a settlement agreement with them, but they hired like a caterer who has a liquor license. So then it's kind of like a little bit of a loophole where, they're like the structure, like, they have the physical space, but the people operating it are this caterer or this uh I even forgot what the original what the original word was. What was the original word?
Promoter.
Promoter. Right.
I
So I think, and my take is, I think it's a good question for ABCA. I don't want to dwell too much on this right now. I think it's a really interesting point to think about for the settlement agreements going forward. But I don't want to dwell too much. Rachel has her hand up and want to ask her, and then want to keep things moving.
Oh, that was old. That was my First Amendment point. I forgot to put my hand down.
Okay.
and if you don't
And
mind, Stephen,
Frank,
I'd like to.
Alex has his hand up right now. I want to keep things moving along. Alex?
Sure, I don't have my hand, so unfortunately.
Just before we move on from the like administrative section, I would just want to say that I would appreciate just like a little bit more guidance on like what to look for, like the power washing thing that Frank just mentioned. I know Ms. Gall has brought up before, like that what Rachel mentioned about like looking for an outdoor summer garden and how and whether or not that conflicts with other agreements. Just a couple of things would really help me as someone who's newer to this work when I am looking at these. I know many people on the screen are experts and have a lot more experience looking at these than I do, but so I would really appreciate if maybe it's not this meeting, maybe it's a future meeting, but if I could get some pointers on what to look for as I'm looking through these agreements.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for raising your hand and saying that. Definitely. Let me see if I can show one right now. I'm also going to try and just follow up with folks individually to just see if they have a grasp on this. Just ask them just like a mid-year check-in for things. My goal was to try and have everyone at least start something by at least come to the next meeting, because I also think we're just gonna wake up one day and like there's gonna be like 50 tavern licenses in our emails. If they could do something by the next meeting, that would be great. And if you really are like, I can't get the link, or try to let me know where you run to snags, but at least like to try something would be good. Okay, here's one. Share screen.
And Commissioner, before I agree with Mr. Alex in regards to that, because I think that we should have a template criteria to use as a checklist as we go
Okay.
through. As Frank had mentioned earlier, if we all have that same template, that you can probably just email that cluster of information so that as we go through and we analyze each one of the settlement agreements, we can at least say that we've checked off that was actually in there, and the particular language that is what we're looking to endorse now is within those settlement agreements. If they need to be updated, then we can flag those particular settlement agreements that requires to be updated. And it's really important that we have that, because that way we know that everyone is meeting the same standards across the board, which we're trying to ensure that the community is getting everything that they're requesting.
Mhm, mhm.
Can I make a
Yeah.
process suggestion to save you some work, Stephen?
Sure.
We could create column at the end for the
Okay.
settlement agreement that is a checklist, and it could be like, has power washing in settlement agreement? Yes, no. Has a summer garden? Yes, no. Summer garden
Okay.
has entertainment hours? Yes, no.
Excellent.
And
That's
then if
Okay.
there are others, we can just have like yes, no, and then we just check it off. That way we're not creating a whole Word document and more work for you.
Okay.
That's excellent. I think that's an excellent idea because you're right, and it's all contained inside of this one document.
And I
Okay.
can go through and do conditional formatting. So like if they have a summer garden and entertainment hours that extend past 10 p.m., like I could flag it so that it turns like red. So our eye is drawn to it, right?
Okay. That would be helpful. That would be helpful. Yes. Abka sent over, Abka did send over, this is part of it too. It gets a little bit like almost too much games of skill. But yeah, some of these, some are right. So Summer Garden is here, but yeah, I think I could add more columns here that makes it a little bit more binary, kind of like yes or no, summer, or does the settlement agreement mention anything about the
Yeah.
Summer Garden? Okay, that's a
And
good
check
idea.
means yes, correct?
Yes, check means yes, or just write yes.
Okay.
But check,
I,
oh, checked means yes. That's right, for here.
I would recommend that we use consistent language so that if we want to automate some of the ways that it shows up, it's easier to do
Oh,
using
okay.
like conditional formatting. And I can do like a control find all and like change all the checked to yes, but like we should use either yes, no,
Fine.
not.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm in
Okay.
agreement with that, but since he put checked in there, it
We
didn't
can just use
indicate whether
check.
it was yes or no. That's what I'm concerned. Does it mean he just actually checked the document?
The
It
check
doesn't
is
No,
say
I'm
from
sorry,
no.
sorry.
ABCA, Karen. The check
Yeah,
is from
the
ABCA.
check is from ABCA from the FOIA.
Oh,
This
okay,
this is
okay.
kind of like ABCA information on if they have a cover charge, if they have dancing. These are their endorsements. These are
Yeah.
endorsements. These are
And
endorsements.
It means yes.
yeah, I can go through and do a control search and auto change some of those, but just for future, let's use yes, no.
Okay.
Yes, I think that I'm in agreement with that as well, because I think that it avoids confusion, and then and for the legacy of this document, whomever comes after us can know exactly what's going on as well.
Nice.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Rachel.
You're welcome. This is what I do in my day-to-day job, so.
I bet you can't guess what I do in my job.
Okay. All right. Great. That's a great idea. I'm glad we're in congruence of that.
Hey,
I'm going.
Stephen, I'd like to work with you to come up with a list of items that people are checking for, and happy to, after we're done, to pass it around to the
Okay.
committee to see if we're missing. But I think it's power washing. I think it's some kind of, noise control inside, outside. And I think there's 3 or 4 other things that we should be checking for. And so it's
Yeah.
not really a date. And it might even be a specific provision, such as the noise can't be heard outside the establishment. That one's important enough
Yeah.
to update if it's old and it's not included. So if you don't mind, I'd like to take a stab, send it over to you, and then we could send it out to everybody after you and I look at that list.
Sure. That sounds great. Yeah. That sounds awesome. Let's talk. Let's try to connect next week on that. Then. Great. Okay. I know we're talking about this for a while, and then wait, I wanted to share one.
There's one more question, Stephen. Can we have a timeline as to when we want to get this turned out? Because I really want us to get since we do have all these everything coming up, I really want to have a good timeline so that we can all finish this together.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, the timeline would really be, I think we'll try and finalize the outline of it within the next 2 weeks. But then I think, really by the next meeting, by our September meeting, I would like it. It would be great if people could start to filling in stuff on, going through the summer agreements, and if they have the power washing and the summer garden, and kind of filling in that information. I really would be like it if we could do that by the next meeting, because I do think it's a bit of like a lull right now, but these licenses are going to start coming up like very, very soon. So let's try to make that the goal. The next meeting, we can try and we'll try to, I'll try to send, how about like by first week of September, like after Labor Day, we'll try to send out like the finalized like version of it, and then we have like maybe 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks until the meeting. How does that sound to people?
I'm going to probably use Labor Day to do this work, so you're right. That might work for me. Thank
I
you.
will be away from the ability to do anything until September 10th. I'll try to do some over the weekend though, but I don't think you'll have those columns in by then. So I'll do what I can.
Okay. All right. This is good. This is productive. Thank you all for this. This is great feedback. I'll reach out, follow up with you guys. Last thing, just wanted to show like a settlement agreement. Like this is for Flash. This is a pretty good one. Right, so it has like the hours really written out. And then they have like, yeah, the noise one, decibels, some things like this, like, right, applicant agree, like this is a key provision. Applicant agrees to keep the doors and windows closed when entertainment is provided at the establishment. Retractable roof may only be open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Friday and Saturday. So this is, it's like, this is a tiny detail, but this is a big detail. But then you see the other stuff with trash and odors and rat vermin control, security and queuing. This is kind of our what is in like the new our updated template that we're sending out to businesses that kind of address these things. And the newer one even has power washing. But anyway, yeah, I'll send us some more information on that. And just also checking with you guys individually. But I think we've talked enough about this. And we need to keep things moving on. So thank you for that. Oh God, we actually have more agenda to talk about. Administrative. One more administrative thing is I've just had a conversation with one of our other commissioners, Matt Fay, about we have new licenses coming up for bars extending till 6 a.m. So one thing that I think sounding from the committee's feedback that we don't really want bars going till 6 a.m., especially when alcohol sales close till 3. That, I think the next step for this might be kind of a resolution coming from the committee and coming from the ANC against to ABCA, kind of conveying the sentiment, opposing this kind of allowance of license here. Welcome anyone's quick thoughts on resolution, kind of quickly on this, but
Here, overdue. Thank you.
okay, that's good. Thank you. Yeah, I'll try to come up with something by the next meeting as like a draft, and then we could, I guess, finalize it and then send it over to that ANC meeting. So we probably won't vote on it till I guess the October ANC meeting. But that's, I think, something that we're gonna be in the works on. The other stuff is some active protests.
Stephen, I'm sorry. Can I just add something? I think it seems like I've heard the sentiment of commissioners very interested in conversation via the COW. Is it the whatever that monthly meeting is before the regular big meeting? The COW count was that your
Committee of the Whole.
Yeah, committee of the whole. I've heard sentiments from it seems like maybe a majority of commissioners that support the idea in conversation, at least expressed, not a full discussion on it, but it
Yeah.
appears that one might conclude there's a majority support at the commission from what I've seen. And I don't know, that's just my conclusion.
I think, I think it's not really, I think in terms of people voting for it, I think yes. But I guess what I'm thinking of it is like, will a resolution even do anything about it? I mean, I don't know. I seriously think that, if more of these do come up and if this is something that we were to take further action on, it might be something along the lines of like, does a resolution have teeth? I don't know, really, with
Well,
ABCA.
we've heard the executive director, Musali, state that he accepts commission advice and resolutions with great weight.
Okay.
So, and great weight isn't well practiced
Yeah.
in commissions generally, from my point of view, which is, just not full point of view. It's my point of view. However, great weight can be asked for and followed up with, and in a summary, it means that they will engage the discussion and arguments put forward on paper and respond. So if we put something good on paper, the great weight would require that they respond in writing. So if they
Okay.
disagree with the components, the whereases, and the facts, that's one thing. If they make up things and say too bad, that's a different thing, and respond in writing. So
Okay. Great. 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 That sounds good then. Okay. It sounds like there's some positive sentiment about moving forward with that resolution. And yes, I think the commission as a whole also would support that. Active protest updates. We still have an active protest with SOAST, trying to work out, finalize a settlement agreement with them. Hopefully we'll talk to the WNA about that. We also had a nice walk, productive walk conversation in the back of 9.5 Street with that Alex led me and Commissioner Barrio on last week. Kind of ran into a resident whose house abuts the back of 9th Street and got to see their backyard and really experienced some of like the rodent and trash concerns there. So I think it was good, productive, eye-opening. I think we're still protesting Appio. We're gonna try and maybe meet with them or just talk to the owner and just kind of see what we can come up with from like a settlement agreement perspective. But there is, this real kind of garbage concern with some of those restaurants that really abut the houses there in 9.5 Street. I don't know if Alex, you want to say anything else about that or next steps on kind of what we talked about there, but I thought it was productive walk.
Yeah, I think it was a good walk to bring like more visibility into that section just because it's kind of cut off from any sort of public access and it's turned into a little bit of a dumping ground that's really, I think, probably contributing to the rat problem, not just on those two streets, but in the adjacent streets and neighborhood as well. And so we're trying to work. We've already independently, the neighbors have started reaching out to some of the business owners, and some of the business owners have been much more responsive, cutting back weeds to help the DC rodent team come in and treat. And so hopefully we'll continue to make progress on this front.
Ms. Gall?
Yes, sir. Okay, Alex, I am so happy that you're doing this because it's a very, very important public health and public safety issue. When you see a bad environment, it contributes to public safety issues, and also the insanitary debris always leads to a public health issue. And I have asked for DPW to cite these areas if there's a particular consistency where they're not trying to do anything to abate these issues. So if you don't mind looping me in, which I would have really appreciate anytime you're running into these situations, because this is a program that we're working on together with DPW to address that along with the public safety and health together. I would appreciate it. Thank you so very much. This is outside of my capacity of the APCA committee. I just want to let you know that, okay?
That would be great. Thank you. Because actually, we've gotten really good engagement from the health team, and we've started getting some engagement from the mayor's office. So it would be really good to get some engagement from DPW as well.
Okay, yeah, because I've already have them on just waiting for all of the addresses I have a list, but anything that you can add to it, I certainly would appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Great. Glad you guys are sharing resources and connected. Great. Okay. Well, we'll keep working on that. I think we'll keep working on the protest front and hopefully we can try and solve some of those issues with the settlement agreement. Okay, that's all the active protest updates we have. Time is now 8 o'clock. All right. Turning now to, we had a request to have a guest speaker come. They were here, they're still here. Mr. William Lewis, who is a business owner, property owner on 9th Street. Mr. Bill Lewis, are you still with us today? Let me see if we can allow to talk here.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay, okay.
Fantastic.
All right, I'm going to remove some of these.
Okay.
Oh, no, okay. Sorry. Yes, we can hear you.
Yes,
Yes,
which
welcome,
one?
Bill.
Thank you. How much time do I have, by the way? Because I have a lengthy statement. I can trunk it if I'm going to be cut short.
Can we give you like a full 5 minutes?
Yeah, I think I can work with that. Thank you very much. Well,
Thank
first
you.
of all, I'd like to thank you, you distinguished citizens, for allowing me to speak with you and community leaders. I would just like to introduce myself. I been moved on Westminster Street in '87, and I've been living there for 40 years or so. And my wife and I stumbled on that property when it was kind of like a frontier, and we great luck because it turned into be a very, very nice neighborhood. I would also, I mean, a nice street and with a community that has been very supportive and illustrious. We bought the property and the 1905 property in 95. So I've been around for a while. We did run a liquor store when it was only a liquor store, with the only liquor store on the block. And so we have been around and then we've seen this development. I leased my property for the first 20 or so years. In fact, I've leased it from the time that I bought it up until 2020, up until this year, in fact. We as I go, before I get ahead of myself, I'd like to introduce the fact that my wife transitioned today 6 years ago, and we raised 3 kids on Westminster Street who are now adults and that participate very actively in the community. I would also like for you to know that I was on the initial committee which instituted the playground concept, and I personally recommended the water feature for the playground, and which is an outstanding feature, and everyone I think will agree that it turns it into a joy factory. So I'm saying all that to say that I've been a member of the neighborhood for a very long time, and I've owned this building for a very long time. These developments that have happened are great, but I don't want to be edged out because you know, I would like an opportunity to try to benefit from my experience. As actually, I think I am the only Black American property owner or business owner on 9th Street in the 1900 block. And you know, and I'm a senior citizen. I've been around for since the beginning, and now I'm 75, and I find myself up against a great deal of pressure because now that I'm trying to take over the business, there is a problem in that the business license, the liquor license that has been with the building since 2006 and transferred to a number of individual businesses since then, is now confronted with the moratorium. So while I'm trying to take over the business so that I might be able to benefit from my investment and long-term commitment, we're up against a deadline for taking this this license. And I can just tell you that the person or people that we had in the building were in fact derelict tenants. For 2 years, they had paid no rent. For 2 years, they built up trash. They did everything that was against our lease, but we could not get any support from the administrators or the city regulators until we actually got the case in court. Unfortunately, I had a corrupt lawyer who did not, when I started to work with him and asked him to file for eviction for this individual, he did not file, but strung it along, and as it turned out, he was working with the opposition. And that's another case. But I want you to know that it cost me $250,000 of real money to fight this case. And that has caused me a great deal of financial hardship. I don't think any of you could afford to, throw 250 away and then be, considered still solvent or, relatively sanguine. But I'm saying that to say that if I don't have this liquor license to participate, I've been told that I can't even compete in terms of trying to make a successful restaurant. My building was bought in '95. I had a decent mortgage. The mortgage was like 4%. And as it turned out, because of this individual who I had to fight in court, I had to refinance the building. And now my mortgage is over $10,000 a month. And with this in mind, I had to fight the court case with an individual who said he couldn't speak English, and I know he speaks as well as Shakespeare. And the court went along with this for 9 months. So that's $90,000 lost before I could even get my point across. And when we finally got the point across, he didn't show up anymore. The court case just dissolved, and they gave me possession in March of this year. So from March until now, I've been trying to get the building back. As you talk about rat infestations, imagine 2 years or however long of trash buildup that wasn't regulated. And it's because the building sits behind the garage, and then there's built. So, but the trash is built up. We fought the rats, we've got it under control, and now we want to try and make a restaurant, lounge kind of thing. But the thing is, we had 1905 was the preferred place for all the members of the Westminster Association and surrounding area for over 10 years, for almost 10 years. We were a popular, very friendly, community organized restaurant. And everybody that you might know that was around then will probably agree. And our intention is to bring that back. That platform or that model has been neglected. We don't have a family-friendly oriented restaurant, or let's say facility, a lounge where people can come bring their families and their children and enjoy themselves in an atmosphere that is conducive to community requests, as you were speaking of. We have no intention of being any one or any kind of that. We just want to get back to our original platform where we have a comfortable environment for people to relax in for a reasonable amount of time. But we don't have a lot of time to get this license. And if we don't get the license, we can't participate. Therefore, I'm requesting that you support me in this effort to acquire this license from this involuntary transfer, where we evicted this individual, and we still have, I guess, maybe 2 or 3 weeks to get the license before it expires, and we get trapped out by the moratorium that's being instituted that you can't have any new licenses. So I'm asking the committee of fine citizens that you are to support me in my effort to regain my property and to get some value from all the time that I've spent fighting this case, and also in building up in the community. I've dedicated my life of 40 years to this community. I've raised kids. I've supported the community. I've demonstrated my commitment to the community. I was at one time president of the 9th Street Business and Property Owners Association, and I communicated with with Westminster, and we actually had some interactive residual things going on with the community and the business community. Didn't last. Unfortunately, they did not join me, and it kind of dissolved. But now I'm back, and I really want the opportunity to demonstrate what can be done in a good, friendly family atmosphere. And so without further ado, I would ask for full support from the committee, and I'm open for any questions that you might have.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr. Lewis. Thank you. That's a great segment. I just wanted to ask a couple clarifying questions. I know Frank has his hand up, but so you are the property owner of 1905 9th Street.
Right.
Okay. And are you the owner of, so it is currently occupied by the Groove? Are you, is that what are you the operator of the Groove?
We evicted the Groove, who was also Rose Dynasty. They were a bogus group that were not following any of the tenants that we had in our lease. And it took me 2 years to evict them, but they have been evicted ever since March 19th of this year.
Okay. Oh, this is recent. Okay. And then I'm also seeing a sign for LA Liquors. Are they also in the
Yes, LA Liquor is a bar. It's a retail liquor store that sells retail liquor, and they're on the first floor of that building. Now, this
Oh.
license has been in effect since 2006. So,
Okay. So there is a license for this address, and you are trying to do a preliminary engagement to try and create a new.
no, it's not a new license. There were 2 licenses in this building. The one was a retail, and the other was a tavern, the upstairs. And both licenses have existed. The license, I actually ran the liquor store with the A license from 95 to about 2000. Then in 2006, the Boucher LLC was granted a tavern license for upstairs or a restaurant license, and they were existing since then. So there were 2 licenses in the building.
Okay. All right.
I'm applying for the one that was on the second floor.
Okay. You're applying for the one that's on. Okay.
Involuntary transfer. It's not new.
Involuntary. Okay. So it's where is the license currently?
The current license is Aber has it, right?
Okay. So they have it. So you're applying to transfer it. You don't automatically get it as the property owner? No.
No. Involuntary transfer. Because we put them out, then we can get it if the community agrees and we meet certain standards.
Okay. I'll pass over to the committee. Frank, you have your hand up.
Yes, hello, Mr. Lewis. I am familiar, Bill and Mr. Lewis and I have been neighbors on and off. Well, actually neighbors for probably 20 years since I've been in the neighborhood. And he just iterating the point regarding it's the third transition of this tavern liquor license on the second floor and the roof deck. It started out as 1905, which was a restaurant, run as a restaurant, and the whole neighborhood used to go to this place, and it was a great spot. Folks from LaDroit Park, Bloomingdale, Logan, Westminster, East End of U Street. Everyone would go to this restaurant. It was family friendly, but it wasn't run by Mr. Lewis, but it was the spot. It was Mr. Lewis's building, and the owner of the restaurant, the operator of 1905, the restaurant would operate, and it was the best place. It transferred to Cortez, which was another place, a friendly enough place, but they sold it off after a couple of years to the I'll use a little word called schmucks who didn't pay their rent to Mr. Lewis for 2 years, and he had to fight them in court. So the involuntary transfer is a new piece of business that I've never seen undertaken, but I would like to motion that this group support the involuntary transfer of the existing license by Bros, or whatever the current name of the licensee that has been kicked off the property, to the possession of Mr. Lewis, who owns the building. And that's the motion I'd like to offer. I'm not certain about, where it goes. I guess it would go to the ANC next, and is at the beginning of September here, and then it would go to ABCA, because I believe Mr. Lewis and I touched on this for a minute a month ago, probably couple weeks ago, maybe, but that this would in fact it's been asked for by the licensing department of ABCA, this motion by the ANC, by the community. So again, my motion that we support the transfer. We recommend that the full ANC support the transfer of this license to the possession of Mr. Lewis, the involuntary transfer of this license to Mr. Lewis.
I second the motion that has been presented to the committee
Thank you.
Okay.
for Mr. William Lewis.
Thank you.
Just as a point of discussion, do we can we see do we like is the license like the hours, like is this something we want to look for, like look at what the license actually says for the information on the license?
I would
Just
say
to
it's a good idea, and maybe we stipulate. I'm sure Mr. Lewis would be open to discussions, because it's up for renewal. So maybe the stipulation that we have the right to review the current operations too in a settlement agreement process.
I agree with that friendly amendment, because I think that it's one, it'll be in line with what we're doing as the committee to ensure that we have all of the operators and establishment owners on the same page. So I agree with that amendment as well. Thank you. And I still second it. Thank
Are there any other discussion on this? Alex?
Yeah, just out of curiosity for the applicant, because I heard you use both like lounge and family-friendly restaurant, which I kind of think often is two different things, but I'd love just to hear a little bit more about kind of like that vision. Are you thinking of that, like recreating that kind of like family-friendly, like everyone in the neighborhood watering hole kind of gathering place? Or yeah, I'd love to
Yeah,
just
if you will, I absolutely am thinking of that. In fact, I am thinking more of a daytime, early evening event. Hours. We are not planning to be one of the clubs that stay open until 3 or 2 or 3 in the morning. In fact, I want to start with trying to do a breakfast for the neighborhood, a regular place where you can come and eat breakfast. And we plan to at some point expand into the night hours, but we will not be what you have going on there. We will be a family-friendly restaurant where people will be proud to bring their grandmothers and their parents and their children and interact all at once. We have a rooftop deck, which is a suitable environment for responsible drinking and interacting. But the restaurant itself is a place where we will have friendly family and community interactions. In fact, we actually sponsored the Westminster Association annual Christmas party there very early on, and we gained a reputation as a place like Cheers, where the neighbors can come and interact with each other and then feel very comfortable and relaxed in that environment.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Any other points of discussion for this motion? And so just make sure we're writing the motion down. So it's the motion to support the involuntary license transfer to Mr. Lewis with the amendment. And we said the amendment was that we would request the license from ABCA.
No, the amendment was that we're recommending to the full ANC the involuntary transfer of the licensee, the existing license, and perhaps somebody has that license number.
I actually just found it here. It looks like it's 12-2135.
Yes,
Groove Lounge
yes,
listed.
yes, all of that, Groove Lounge and the
Okay.
ABCA license number to Mr. Lewis with our interest in a protest period to review the current settlement agreement.
To review and update the current settlement agreement.
Well, let's just call it, Mr. Lewis. It sounds like we'll make it more difficult, but I don't think we're going to have to. But let's just call with an interest in protesting this license, because that's the process. That's what we communicate, right? So, it would come to us in some respect. We're asking for it to have our protest process where we review it with Mr. Lewis, right? So we're just asking to protest. So let's keep it simple. So the amendment is with a request to protest that license.
Okay, I'm following now. Yes, request. Okay, all right, any other discussion on that motion and the amendment to motion to recommend the ANC support the involuntary transfer of license with the amendment that the request to protest the license before it is fully implemented?
With our requirement that the license be protested, so that it keeps it simple.
Yeah, is protested or is placarded to the ANC with a period of time to review it as a
Yes.
notice.
Yes. And so just as an aside, I believe that there's some period that a current licensee and that past licensee that still is sort of in possession that we're involuntarily transferring from, it may be considered a period under which Mr. Lewis can operate under that license. Right. So we're not taking away any period of operations if in fact it's voluntarily transferred. It might be able to be operated right off, even though we're protesting. So just to make an aside point there and clarify for comprehension.
Okay. One day I'll be comprehended about ABCA. Okay. Any other points of discussion on this? I'd like to call a vote. All in favor of supporting this motion, please raise your hand or say aye. All right, that's 5, counting unanimously passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Thank you for coming and speaking with us. Please stay engaged. We'd like to.
I'd like to say one other thing, if I may.
Yes.
Due to the fact that I have spent so much money trying to fight this organization and trying to keep the organization, I'm actively looking for partners and financing so that I can continue. And if you or anybody that you might know of is interested in being an actual restaurateur or being part of a business, I welcome the opportunity to speak with them. Thank you.
Awesome. We will maybe we could pick a note of that into our newsletter for your contact.
And
Thank you very much.
I personally, I would like to know who the lawyer was that messed you over, but that's me.
Yeah, I will let you know. I will definitely let you know, Ms. Carr. I'll find a way to let you know. I don't want to besmirch this because there's a lawyer. He may even try to come after me.
Yeah, I know. I'm just
But
saying.
I will
that
let you know
aside.
because he's a well-known shyster, and it's not hard to determine.
The reason why I said that for committee purposes because we are trying to make sure that we are aware of anyone who is trying to really be a disadvantage to our community. That's my reason for asking.
I will be sure and let you know. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Lewis. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Look forward
night.
to good night and be in touch. Okay. All right. Okay, moving along to, I guess that was kind of like a new business item, but our actual new business section. I know it's almost 8:30. We're going at it for almost 90 minutes, but maybe we can roll these kind of quickly. Oh, we actually have another. So the next item is it's a new application for a restaurant that's called Bar Maggie. 903 U Street Northwest. New license, placarded. It's in the agenda. It's the representing the owner is Mr. Jeff Jackson. Mr. Jackson, if you're here, I'm gonna allow you to speak. I spoke with Mr. Jackson on the phone this week about this establishment to kind of give a little premise here. As we know, this is in the moratorium zone. This is, though, apparently Mr. Jackson has let me know that this is from the when we did Lounge U. Remember, we did the owner came from Lounge U and we talked about Lounge U. They decided not to move ahead with that because it would require a lot of construction and updates to the physical place. So the owner is purchased or is revamping this place 903. So instead of 911 U Street, which was Lounge U, he basically wants to take that idea and make it at 903 U Street. Northwest, it is a moratorium zone. This is for a restaurant, is named a bar. Mr. Jackson, do we have you here on the phone?
Yes, you
Can
do.
I ask a point of order?
Yes. Frank.
This has been an ongoing issue. Do we have the owner here? Because we ask that both parties, because we like to hear directly from the person who has their hands.
Yes, the owner is here.
All right, thank you very much.
Great. Yes.
Kiki is the owner. He has another establishment on 9th Street as well. Same individual.
Great. And who? Yes. Do we have the owner? What is it? Yeah. Do we have him on the phone?
Yeah, he should be.
Hello. Can you remind us of your name again?
Keaton.
Keaton. Right. Keaton. Hello.
How y'all doing?
Good. Can you remind us of the establishment that you own on 9th
I own
Street?
Kiki right now at 915.
You own Kiki. Okay. Right. That's right next door. Kiki.
Yep.
Right. Okay. And you used to work at the Dirty Goose, or
I managed the Dirty Goose for 5 years.
Managed Dirty Goose for 5 years. Great. Okay. Well, thank you for coming back. Yes, I think again, I mean, I think I had a clarifying question. I reached out to Sarah, who's a liaison at ABCA, about the license. Just kind of about, they said that the license was never, she did confirm the license was never issued to Lounge U. But that, we kind of worked on that settlement agreement. So I just wanted to, I'm still following up with Sarah to make sure kind of what happens with that settlement agreement for that address. But if you could maybe just speak very briefly, maybe just 60 seconds, 2 minutes about just what this proposal is for this establishment here.
Yeah, so the Bar Maggie is just it's a very, very small building, and it's just going to be honestly easy to operate, and with everything that's going on in the nightlife industry, that it's kind of slowing down. So it's a less of a risk on my part, and that's why basically we're transferring, why we're looking into some certain things. But I want it to be a very small loungy bar, very like tapas, small food. I don't expect late night crowds past like 1 o'clock. I don't expect any loud noise or anything coming through it. It's very small, very easy to operate. The ideal situation is just that it is a place where you could go, hang out, have nice cocktails, not get elbowed. As there's actually not going to be there's going to be a physical bar, but there's going to only be like 2 or 3 seats, and everything is table service. So the management team or service team is basically going to be dropping everything off at your table, instead of having a regular style bar where there's like you walk up to a bar and are crowding it and so forth.
Got it. And yeah, I think one top the summer gardens have become a flag for us, just knowing that that's kind of where a source of like where a lot of the noise comes from, coming out of establishments. Is there any plan? Is there any way to keep a door closed between the summer garden?
The summer garden is It's almost just like a terrace
Yeah.
off the second floor. It's extremely small. It's only, I measured it today. It's only 12 feet by 10 feet. So I don't expect a lot of noise to be generated from there. And I also won't put speakers out there. I don't think the music doesn't need to be a large attribution out in that area.
Yeah, definitely not
and
speakers
then-
out there.
Yeah, there is speakers out there from the previous owner,
Oh.
like several years ago. I believe it was a wine called Dixon Wine Bar. And there hasn't been but I haven't worked on any of the sound system or anything yet. To enclose it or anything, I'm not really sure if that's possible for the way the structure is set up. I would have to get the engineers and such to look at that. And then some type of covering may be possible, some type of like awning system. But I'm not quite exactly sure on how I would be able to do that. But it is essentially like 10 feet below Whitlow's rooftop. So I can't imagine, I believe it's the 20 people that are allowed out there are gonna overpower my neighbors.
That's a good point. Okay. Ms. Gall. Okay, no.
Okay, we just went through this tried to do the same thing. So I'm going to recommend a protest because it's the same identical situation. And the community has already indicated to us that they have a high concern about noise level with these additional summer gardens, especially in this with the same identical setup. Um, and for the peace, order, and quiet of the neighborhood under the moratorium. And we had an extensive, and it's nothing about your particular location, but because it's identical, and they've made this very clear that this is not what the neighborhood desires. I'm going to recommend that we protest this, and that's my take on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gall. Do we have a second?
I'm
I'll
happy to-
second.
I second. Oh,
Alex, Rachel.
I said second.
Great. Any other discussion on this? Frank, you have your hand up.
Yes, I have several questions. I'm a little confused, so if you'd help me through my confusion. I don't understand what the status is of that past and I believe approved license that we already reviewed for 9/11. Because I don't know if there's, if you guys have terminated that or you're just selling it off. And I have concerns about what we're doing here. Secondly, so I'd like to know the status of that license and the intentions of that license. I've heard that you're moving on from that project, but is that license being sold off?
No, the license is not being sold off.
And,
The
and, and what's
license is still attached to that address as a restaurant. It just the build out would take over a year. So Kiki elected to move to another location, generate some revenue, and revisit the 9/11 location as a restaurant. So that license is still approved for a restaurant.
Yeah, it's a good question, Frank. I did ask Sarah. She said the license is still not issued because we're waiting for them to support paperwork such as their C of O. So I think we might know a little bit more than she knows at this point. But I think a follow-up question to, in terms of, yeah, where, if I just started my own business there myself, like would I just inherit that license and settlement agreement that was signed? I mean, we would need a new settlement agreement. So I don't know. I think it's a clarifying question with ABCA, but none of us on this call might know that right now.
Right. So somebody purchased that building. If he elected to sell that building, then that license would go to the new owner as a restaurant.
because that license was held by the building owner. Am I correct, Mr. Jackson?
Correct.
Okay, so it's staying with the building owner, and Keaton, as the past operator, has renounced operating rights over there and is moving on to an interest
903.
903. And who is Mr. Keaton the owner of this license, or is it the building owner?
Keaton is the owner of the license.
Okay. All right. Well, then, therefore, thank you for answering some confusion, clarifying some confusion on the other license. I have continuing and deep concerns pertaining to the operation of what I've heard this evening is a loungy type, with tapas. That's not a restaurant. While I see that we might give and take, and there, if you're this very, alluring, just sit down place that's not going to have, a line of 10 or 20 or 30 or 5 people out front, perhaps. And, it might be good, but we're looking for restaurants. And that's why we spent 3 years and several, lots of money to bring in a moratorium. So I'd like to know if Keaton, I'm sorry, I'll call you Keaton because I forget your last name. That you would be interested in talking about making a seating plan part of a settlement agreement, and also committing to a certain kitchen size so that we know you're committed to food service, which is sort of important when you are operating a restaurant, and we want restaurants in this neighborhood.
Well, just for knowledge and understanding, your interpretation of a restaurant, ABRA approved it for a restaurant. So you can't look at a menu and give your opinion that it's not a restaurant, because that's not the type of food you would suggest as being a restaurant.
Mr.
Secondly,
Jackson, I'm
no,
asking.
hold on. I'm not finished, Frank. Slow down. Secondly, CR license, you have to have 45% food sale requirements. So he doesn't have to have a table plan. He have to keep his kitchen open 2 hours prior to closing. That's the regulations.
All right, Mr. Jackson, this is a community effort here, and I am a part of the community. I'm a part of this committee, and I will be a part of, I expect, if not this settlement agreement, probably another settlement agreement. And so my question to you, to Mr. Keaton, is, Mr. Keaton, would you be interested in talking about a seating plan to make part of a settlement agreement? And also, would you commit to ensuring that we have a sizable kitchen area that supports a restaurant?
For a seating plan, that goes into designing and engineering of that nature, which I haven't got to that point, but I'd be like, once we're involved in that, I'd be glad to share it. The issue that this building is incredibly small for what it's going to cost to build it out and just normal day-to-day operations. So the size of a kitchen is kind of relevant to what is actually suitable without taking away seating from the business. Because if I build out a kitchen that's so big that takes up half the seating in the building, then it's pointless to even try something, because the seats won't be filled enough to pay for it.
And you don't have to have a certain kitchen size, Keaton. That's determined by the health department, not an individual.
Well, again, to correct you, Mr. Jackson, this is a settlement agreement we're talking about.
Frank, let me say this. I've been doing this for years. You cannot put in a settlement agreement a kitchen size.
Mr. Jackson, I don't know what our attorney can advise us, to do. And so I'm just iterating the points of my large size neighborhood of interest in ensuring we have a restaurant. And
but Frank, you asking for things outside of your authority.
Well,
so you think for a kitchen size, you can't control somebody's kitchen size and the structure of their development. I helped draft the regulations in 2000, so I know what I'm talking about, Frank. Me and Fred moves out.
Okay, I think point of order. I think can we address each other? I think a little respectfully
here. If you want to protest, go ahead and protest, but the kitchen size don't have nothing to do with a protest.
Sure, I'm asking the applicant and the owner of the restaurant,
and I'm representing the applicant and the owner.
I've heard from the applicant and the owner his response, and I respectfully I respect his response. I don't agree that that's in an interest of my neighborhood. And so therefore, I had the right to ask, and I appreciate the respectful response Keaton offered. So thank you, Keaton. And I look forward to supporting the protest here so we can continue this conversation.
Okay, sounds good.
Calling back to the motion that was seconded. Is there no other points of discussion? The motion is to protest on the order of peace, order, and quiet. It's in the moratorium, all applicable grounds. That was raised by Ms. Gall. Ms. Gall has her hand up. Ms. Gall, final say before we take a vote for this motion.
It's actually, I was just voting, just doing my vote.
Okay, do the vote. All right, all in favor of
Oh, no,
supporting
no,
this
no,
motion?
no. Sorry. I have a friendly amendment. I'd like to ask that we include reference to the moratorium, to include factors with respect to the
I
moratorium.
don't
I think
accept that. I don't accept that. I don't accept that. I think that the vote that I made was suffice. I don't want to add that the moratorium information to my vote. If you want
I
to
do think Ms. Gall
withdraw my vote,
made a nod. Didn't mention you didn't Ms. Gall. You did mention specifically. I wrote down moratorium in it.
Yes.
what I said was considering the neighborhood factors. I said like the moratorium,
Mhm.
but I'm not going to get into the specifics of the moratorium. Okay. What I said, considering the neighborhood factors, like the moratorium.
Right.
Okay.
I think that seems satisfactory.
Thank you.
Well, I like my second comment because I believe we at least have
Yes.
periods for second
Yes,
comments.
Frank.
I will not support without referencing overconcentration within as established in the moratorium. Overconcentration is an appropriateness standard that you protest on. And in fact, we have an overconcentration here, which the moratorium has helped, but not, has helped stop the bleeding. It's not gotten precipitously worse, but we have allowed 200 persons to open right next to residential homes down here with another applicant, and we still have too many people sitting on our front stoops. Okay, and I don't know if anyone on this committee would like to come out and get them off of my stoop or recommend how we get them off of my stoop, but the city's not helping. And I expect my colleagues and ask my colleagues politely that I get some help here to review what we can do and
Okay.
everything we can do. And so therefore I will not support the motion without an amendment regarding a reference to overconcentration and with as defined and found in the moratorium.
Honestly, I'm getting a little tired. I don't know if I have the brain power right now to make an amendment to that. I'm just going to call a vote for the original Ms. Gall's motion. All in favor of supporting Ms. Gall's motion, please raise your hand. Okay, thank you. All against, please raise your hand. Okay, thank you for that. The motion just passed with 3 yeas and 2 yeas. 2 nays, sorry. Okay, thank you, Mr. Jackson and Keenan for joining us.
Thank
I'm
you.
sure we're going to be in talks about this. If potentially we also, I think we did a site visit for SOS recently and kind of got to see their space, and that might be helpful as well. Is that something we could potentially coordinate with you, Keaton, or if you're going to fully move forward with this space here and it's not going to be so much construction, or I don't know what the status is on that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, all right. Well, that might be helpful. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks. Okay. I know it's a little late wrapping up, but I just want to keep things moving along because we still have 2 more placards to go. Oh, okay, they're gone. All right. Yeah, with those placards, it's late. Yeah, we're losing people, so it's time to, we have 2 more placards left. So another one came in this is what kind of mentioned earlier. It's for a substantial change in hours. Place is called Sound Bar. It's on 1909 9th Street Northwest, Class C Tavern, for 1B02. There is a existing settlement agreement from 2008 that we have, and the settlement agreement says on behalf of let me see if I can share my screen here. Okay. Just writing. Entertainment, peace, order, and quiet. Signage. This is a short one.
Stephen, is the applicant here?
Yeah, let me see. I don't think they are. I don't think they ever responded back to me. Their name was. Let's see this. And I'm sorry for cutting you off earlier, Frank, with the amendment thing, but I didn't quite. I felt the missed call. I'd kind of stated it, and I don't know how many just verbal verbiage we can include that will make the situation better, more than just acting on it and just taking a vote to it. But I didn't want to cut you off. The applicant was Marky Wold Miriam. I emailed them. I can try to call them too at some point. Do not hear. It's an proposed hours of operation Sunday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 a.m. So it's like moving from what's currently their hours of operation, which go until I think it doesn't actually current hours. Yeah, current hours match alcohol, which is 3, going till 6 a.m. And let's see. Yeah, I wonder if there's some agreement mentions anything about the
They're looking
hours.
in the settlement agreement, like to 6 in the morning.
Sorry, Rachel, can you repeat that?
Yeah, they're looking to extend their hours to 6 in the morning.
That's correct. Yeah.
So I think that this is a pretty easy one, considering that we've been denying all the previous ones. I think
Yeah.
just I move to protest it on the grounds that peace, order, and
Quiet
safety, quiet,
in all
Right.
applicable grounds.
and all applicable grounds. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
I second.
Great.
I second it.
Any other further discussion on this?
I think that we're protesting all stuff like this to make sure that people have safety. There's not enough. Sorry, my brain is going too, Commissioner.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it just got like dark too and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Like
I know, like all of a sudden, like my brain just went whoop, reboot.
Reboot,
But
yeah.
yeah, we've talked about the safety issues, the inability of police to patrol at that hours, though things are going wild in the city right now with that. But I think that we be consistent. We are consistent and don't go off script with this stuff.
Yeah. Ooh, actually, wait, I just found something kind of interesting here in some. I think I should stop sharing the screen. But to what I guess Francois Commissioner Barry was saying before, there's something specifically here in this settlement agreement that says the parties agree that the applicant will use promoters, but promoters will not take over the operation of the establishment. That actually going to be something we want to replicate in other places. Or that's just an interesting line. Okay.
And just for clarity's sake, I just want to make sure that only the language that I was referring to earlier, it was not promoters. Promoters do need to have a degree of decorum in how they do their work, but everyone should, as we are talking about equity in our settlement agreements, it will be equity with the promoters having the standards that the community says. But we have to be very conscious about what language we use when we're describing that. That was it. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Gone. Okay. I see some hand raised. Alex, your hand up.
Yeah, a quick question. Since the settlement agreement is from 2018, should we also, as like, I don't know if it makes sense as part of the motion, move to like update it with the rest of, to be in line with the rest of our newer settlement agreements, so that it's kind of like fair and consistent across the board?
Yeah, great, great question. I
I
mean,
think that's what the protest would do. We would ensure, that Commissioner Barrio and Commissioner Haranahan would undertake any implementation of new provisions to include in a revised settlement agreement.
Got it. Got it. So we don't have to like explicitly call that out.
No, no.
Perfect.
yeah, I think that's right. I think that's like what happens through the protest process. That if the protest would end in a settlement agreement or, yeah,
Or go to protest.
we are good protest, which is luckily rare, but I think there are some that happen. Okay. Frank,
I would
you
just
bring
like
it
to
up.
make, yeah, thank you. This bar is formally, I'll express some problems with the operations of this bar. This bar was bought by what the OAG, Office of Attorney General, has recommended to ABCA that this license be sold because of the former operator called Empire. This license was forced to be sold because they had 3 pages of rap sheets of code violations, of ABCA code violations. They had like a murder inside. Don't quote me specifically, but it was pretty egregious public safety matters, stabbings, murder in front, inside, outside. And so with that operating rap sheet, they were required to be sold at what the OAG called a arm's length sale. That arm's length sale is open to interpretation. What I saw was that the current staff was all kept. What I saw was the same clientele. Uh, just recently, about 3 months ago, there is an investigative report regarding prostitution like treatment of women inside the club. And I'll send it out to you by the end of this meeting. It's a 10-page, 20-page report, and it describes these incidents going on in this club. So I'm just putting them on the record in terms of what goes on in my neighborhood, in this block, and by our neighbors, and this licensee who's asking for expanded hours, which I will support the motion to protest. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for a little bit of context there. That's helpful. Okay. Calling to vote, all in favor of the motion to protest soundbar for peaceful and quiet on applicable grounds. The motion is 4 yeas. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Great. Okay. The last one that just came in today is renewal for Pure Nightclub and Lounge. 1326 U Street. So it's 1B08, further away. There is an existing settlement agreement with the establishment. And let me bring that up again. This is a renewal, so this isn't asking for any changes. This is not a new, they're not asking for opening till 6 a.m.
You know if they've had any violations or any issues within the community?
Not, unfortunately, there was just came out today. So we haven't heard back from Commissioner Harris.
And how old was their settlement agreement? Because I'll recommend a protest just to make sure everything is in line with what we're working with.
Yes, great questions. Let me bring up. Yeah, settlement agreement from is, unfortunately, Aline was the one who helped make the settlement agreement. She's not here today, so I'm sure she could speak to it better. 2011, which is early. Aline's been here a while. Wow. Yeah, 2011.
So they need an updated settlement agreement. So I'll protest. I make the motion that we protest this particular license on the grounds of peace, order, and quiet, and all applicable grounds, which would include cleanliness and queuing of that area, because I did a public safety walk past that area, and right there in front of it, it's not clean, and we certainly need to make sure that we ensure that the cleanliness of that area stays intact according to what we are discussing
I'll
and
sec-
alignment with everything. Thank you.
I'll second.
As a point of discussion, I mean, I normally don't vote, but I would like to reach out to Eileen just to get her sentiment about this.
Do we
About
have
the-
an investigative history?
Yeah, I don't know. Wait, let's pull it up right now. Let's see if we can. Cut. records.
Rachel had just asked for that, so we were waiting.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, my only concern is the direction we're going with 70 taverns. This ANC is not equipped to protest 70 taverns. That means, that one of our commissioners and/or Commissioner Hanrahan will be at 70 roll call hearings, 70 status hearings, 70 mediation hearings. It sounds a little outside of our abilities, even though I would be happy if the commission spent money to help us. We don't have the operating status of efficiency. And so I'm just concerned if they don't have any complaints, we don't know anything about them, and there's no investigative history, except we don't know that fact, again, I'm concerned about the overwhelmingness that we seem to be working towards with
Oh.
good intentions.
Okay,
That's
hold your hand
interesting.
out. Yeah.
Oh, do you want to go first, Rachel? Because I think you're going to say probably similar to what I'm saying, but let
No,
me
go ahead.
assume. Should I go first?
Yes, please.
Okay. At this particular time, what we're trying to do is to get everyone in alignment. And we had already voted as a committee that we're going to work on an alignment process to ensure that everyone is aligned with the same understanding, peace, order, quiet, and all applicable grounds to ensure that the updated settlement agreements for each one of the establishments. Yeah, I saw that failed. I saw that already flagged. That each one of the establishments has everything that they're needed for this neighborhood. So that's part of the settlement agreement process that we had agreed on. We voted on this as a committee. And so I'm staying in line with what we have voted on in the committee. So that's my share. I don't know, Rachel, if yours was
Sure,
along the
sure.
same lines. Thank you.
I'd like to just respond there that I don't think
Can you let Rachel
I don't
respond,
think there's
please,
any
Frank?
binding motion for for saying we're going to protest all of them. It was a desire. There's no binding motion. And Commissioner Handerhand, Mr. Chair, I'm asking you, is there binding motion regarding we will protest every single license?
But there was, Frank, and I'm gonna be very clear because you voted against it the last time, and Rachel was about to speak. So I think that it would be appropriate for her to go next because she was after me. But we did agree on this, and you did say the same thing you're saying now at that time too. Thank you.
Sure, Rachel.
I mean, I was just gonna say that I think it's important to make sure that the settlement agreements are in line. And I think when we say protest, we're just asking to make sure that the settlement agreement is up to date and that a conversation is had if it's needed. We don't have a violation history. We haven't looked at the settlement agreement. We don't know if the settlement agreement is up to date since it's not in front of us. And I think one thing that we could do to probably ease this is maybe have Commissioner Hanrahan put the settlement agreement up and we can see if it's missing anything. And if it's missing things, then we say, this is what we need.
Okay, I can do that. Can you guys see my screen? Let me try to share it right now. I wish Eileen was here. But yes, I also point out, like, yeah, thank you, Frank, for mentioning that. I mean, I think, yes, we do want to make sure the settlement agreements are up to date, but I think we want to be you do want to be judicious with this, I think, especially when it comes to the taverns. Like, you know, if there's gonna be 20 renewals we're looking at, like, we don't want to
And
be like, right now
There's
we
going
have
to be
3.
70
quick point,
renewals.
just a quick point, and one of the reasons why we're going to put those different characteristics in is like, you know, yeah, we want to look for places, and I'm saying this as someone who wants to protest protest a place that has an open air roof, right? Um, you know, if there's no complaint history, if the bar is not next to any residential, like, you know, what's the strategy? Like, are we looking to like go after everything? Can we have some easy wins? Or, you know, again,
Mhm.
tired here, but like, I think that there is like a balance point, and I think when we fill out that spreadsheet and kind of get an idea of what's in there, it will very quickly filter up what are the most important ones to protest and change.
Exactly, exactly. And we won't be reinventing the wheel. We're just making sure that we highlight and everything is all in order, because if you're looking back at 2011, that's a little further back than we need, and there's a lot of changes that the neighborhood has made. There's a lot of different things that are changing that people are talking about as of this meeting, that we want to make sure that we curb these public safety and public health issues that are really causing harm to our community. And if they're not updated and they're 2011 and below or whatever, we're not doing the neighborhood any justice. And so we really need to do our due diligence. You know, it's going to take time, but look at the time we're spending. It's 9 o'clock and we're still here.
Sure. You know, again, I will defer to the chair to decide, you know, what the position of this committee and the commission is on seeking settlement agreements, meaning protesting 70 tavern licenses that are renewing and attending 70 roll calls and attending 70 status hearings, and attending 70 mediations, because that's where this process goes when you protest. So it's not just a small conversation.
Well,
It
you know,
is.
Thank you.
Frank,
Thank,
something too is like when we fill out that spreadsheet, it's like, are we actually going to go to protest, or can we like contact them and say like, hey, this is the new standard for settlement agreements. Are you willing to sign it? And see if
Exactly.
there's some low hanging fruit that will just be like, oh yeah, like this isn't a very big change. Cool. You know, and then the more serious issues we're going to protest. But like, are we going to like logistically protest that many? No, no, we're
right.
not. Like the realistic answer is we figure out which ones are the most important to go for now and keep the others in the back of the mind for future, and also try before they go for their license renewal to see if we can negotiate something in advance.
Exactly. That was the goal. I thought that was the firm
Yeah.
understanding from the committee.
Mhm.
And we were not trying to burden anyone, Frank. We are trying to make sure that everyone is in alignment. If we have all these grandfathered settlement agreements and they're doing things that are not conducive to good neighborhood environments, we would, it's like, what's the point of us doing this committee work?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you guys all. This is a great discussion. Thank you, Frank, for also trying to look up for our interests. And it is a serious, like, I think, you know, we do mention this, but there are steps and pieces, even just having to vote at the ANC meeting and then having to send the transmittal to ABCA, then like, you know, having to download send over the signing thing. There is a lot of, you know, paperwork and steps that, you know, even as simple as just sending a settlement agreement over, the things can get lost and then we can trip up. And so I think I would echo what Frank is saying with when it comes to like the tavern thing. I think being judicious with that will be key, and we're gonna work on that, and that's gonna be great. For my own personal, right now, my vote is I'm gonna try and talk to Eileen about this place offline, and then I'll cast a vote for the final recommendation to protest at the ANC meeting. So that's where my vote counts. But I can try to talk to her after this. But I do think there's a motion to protest. Is there a motion to protest? Ms. Gall made a motion to protest. Let's take a vote on this. It's 9 o'clock. Um, all in favor, please raise your hand or say aye. All right, let's see, 3. Yes.
Yeah, and my vote is also conditional, like if you can get a agreement with them ahead of time, or if Eileen shares that there's no issues, like, yeah.
Right. And who,
All against? All abstaining? Okay.
and we can look on the list sheet to see, you know, where
Motion
they
passes.
fall,
Thank you.
right? Commissioner, we can look on whose name it falls under on the list sheet too. You know,
This
that's
place, that's right. Well, this is, thank you. This is a nightclub. So this is actually different. This is different. This isn't on the tavern list. I don't know why I don't know if they have to renew it now or not, but yeah, kind of an oddball that it came at this time.
Yes, all taverns and nightclubs. This is the
Oh, and
season.
nightclubs
Yeah,
too?
we
Oh,
only have
all
a
right.
few nightclubs in the area.
Okay.
Maybe 4 or 5, I think, within that, 100 and what's the number? Is it 160 licenses in 1B, Commissioner?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. 140, 160.
and out of our 7, my thing is this: when I think part of our process of working together on this is out of our 7, if there's a need to be pitched in, you know, I think that that would be a great time for us to go the extra mile of volunteering to help, you know. So I thought that was part of
Yeah.
the statement that
Yeah,
we all
that is Miss Gall.
we were going to be pitching in when it comes to that heavy load. That
Yeah.
this is not only are we looking at the information, we'll pitch in when it's needed. That's all.
Yeah,
Well,
that's helpful.
so I guess that for the 11 assigned to everybody, that we should all prepare to go to a roll call hearing, go to a status hearing, and a mediation, right? If we're speaking in that language.
Well, hopefully we're gonna get ahead of it. We're gonna do our good due diligence research, and then we're gonna not not get to that. But in theory, yes, I think it's true. I think we might need to at least step up to go to roll calls. I want to commend Alex for attending the roll call for Appio, and being present there. And yeah, so I think it's both. I think yes, we're not going to go to all of them, but also yes, we might need to go to some of them. So yeah, I think you're both right here. Thank you. Okay. All right. With that, I'd like to adjourn the meeting. Thank you all for coming. We passed 4 or 5 motions here. We're going to follow up. I think the conversation about the spreadsheet was really helpful. I'm going to reach out to you guys individually about that and come up with those, with the columns for things to look for. And first of all, make sure you guys have the links to look at it. Seems like half the people were able to get on, half the people weren't.
I'm good now because
You're good now. Okay,
yes,
great.
I got
Great.
everything taken care of. Thank you.
Great. Okay, great. That's awesome. All right. All right. Well, I'll be in touch with you guys, and hopefully, but then I think we'll still aim to, by the next meeting, or September meeting, we'll aim to have that done. Hopefully we'll like anticipate maybe around Labor Day or the weekend or after to hit the ground running with just some of that investigative work, looking through the settlement templates, settlement agreements, and just making sure they meet kind of general standard. So with that, all right. Always great to spend time with you guys on a Wednesday. Stay safe in DC. It's crazy out there. Don't get picked up. Don't throw sandwiches at people. Or do, but don't actually don't get taken away. Yeah, stay safe, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your summer too. And I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you. Have a great night. Bye.